Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. And I wanted to do a lesson on this short that's been sent around by the brothers. It has over 14 million views off of a channel called Amazing Scenes History. Okay, and the title of this short that I will be playing in this lesson is The Breeding Slaver with More Than 200 Children. Okay, and it's going to go into a common practice, all right, that took place, all right, and when we were in hardcore slavery, where the devil would take our young men, all right, who were of particular statures, very athletic, hardworking, obedient, and he would ultimately breed, okay, and ultimately use the buck to breed, all right, more children of his stature, of his kind. They do the same thing with the animals, all right. It's a documentary called Blackfish, all right, that goes into how they have these particular whales in captivity. And if they find a whale, all right, or any species of animal, all right, that makes them a lot of money, athletic, that is superior above the rest, okay, they will take the seed or sperm of that whale or of that animal, same thing they did with us as Israelites, all right, and use it to produce, all right, more of that kind, all right. And this practice of breeding slaves, all right, is actually biblical, all right, as we'll go into the prophecy in the book of Joel to show you, all right, as we always tell you, everything that happened to us, all right, and everything that is happening at this present day can be linked to biblical prophecy. Okay, this is why the scriptures tell our people to turn you to the stronghold, ye prisoners of hope. All right, because the only hope, all right, is that we be delivered out of the hands of our enemies. All right, and that's going to be, all right, via the hands of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, all right, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. No man will be able to save us out of this situation. Okay, and the reason that all of this evil, fell down on us is because of our rebellion against our power. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play it, and we'll get some scriptures. I'll start it over.
I noticed this man was forced to have sex with hundreds of women every day. And the worst part was that he could never say no. Known as Padasika, he was the slave bought specifically for the role of a breeder. Because he stood at 2 meters and 18 centimeters tall, they believed his children would be strong. He was highly intelligent and obedient. As a result, while the other slaves worked in the fields and performed heavy labor, Padasika had the role of engaging in relations with hundreds of different women every day. As Padasika's children were consistently born strong and healthy, he began to receive increasing privileges. He passed away in 1958, leaving behind over 200 children. This man was forced to have sex with hundreds of women every day.
Every day, B? Now, let's get the book of Joel, all right, and we can look up, slave breeding in the United States. It took place in French, the British as well, all right. Slave breeding was the practice in the slave states of the United States of slave owners to systematically force reproduction of slaves to increase their profits, especially if it was of, all right, one who was, chiseled, big, athletic, okay, and worked hard. It says it included coerced sexual relations between male slaves and women or girls, forced, all right, pregnancies of female slaves, and favoring women or young girls who could produce a relatively large number of children. All right. The objective was to increase the number of slaves without incurring the cost of purchase. All right. And to fill labor storages caused by the ab- abolition of the Atlantic slave trade. All right, and you can go into the history. All right, but I'm gonna do this and go into prophecy. All right, and this is a big part of why you Edomites are getting ready to be judged. All right, all of you heathen who partook, in our downfall, because all of you benefited from the fall of the Israelites. Okay, all of you benefited, from us, being brought down low. All right, which is described in the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter. So the nations will be judged. All right, let's get into why. It says, "For behold, the days, all right, in those days, and at that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem," okay, meaning bring us out of captivity, "I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat." All right. And it says Jehoshaphat. All right. That's the valley of Yahweh's decision. All right. As is described in Isaiah, the 34th chapter. Okay. That will be synonymous with the fall of Esau, Edom. Let's get that. All right. Isaiah, the 34th chapter. Okay. Isaiah 34:1. All right. God's wrath against the nations. "Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth from it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies." All right. "He have utterly destroyed them. He have delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain shall be cast out. Their stink shall come up out of their carcasses. The mountains shall be melted with their blood. And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved. And the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth off the vine, and as the falling fig from a fig tree." All right, the Esau's power is going to be taken away. "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and the people of my wrath, all right, and curse to judgment." Okay, and as you read this chapter, it goes into the judgment that's going to be associated, all right, with the fall of Babylon, all right, the deliverance of the Lord's people, all right, which is synonymous with Esau, Edom's end. All right, verse 8 says, "For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, in the year of the recompenses for the controversy of Zion." Okay, so the Lord has a controversy, although he used you heathen to take us down, or he's also going to judge you for those very things that you did. All right. And that's the power of the Lord. Okay. So the Lord has gathered all of these nations over in the Middle East. Okay. All nations have, positions in the Middle East. All right. For what is known as World War III. All right. Armageddon. All right. In the valley of Jehoshaphat. "And I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." All right. And this is what happened to us. We were scattered, all right, among the nations via, slavery, all right, being kicked out of our land. Okay. And ultimately they parted the land amongst themselves. All right. Which can be described in the book of Ezekiel, the 36th chapter, where it says the Edomites would have control of the Holy Land. Okay. Them and the residue of the heathen, which you have the Palestinians, which are Ishmaelites and Elam mixed, okay, over there warring with ultimately the Amalekites, okay, which the land belongs to none of them. All right, but it's just the fulfillment of prophecy. All right, let's get Ezekiel 36 real quick, okay, just to substantiate that. All right, for you new listeners. All right, all of these things are prophecies. Okay, and prophecies ain't made to just sit on the page. Okay, this is Ezekiel 36:5. "Therefore, thus saith the Lord, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, the Edomites, okay, which have appointed my land into their possession with all the joy of their hearts, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. All right. And they're over there doing nothing but evil. Okay. So the Lord has sat back and allowed you heathen to build. All right. And as the scriptures say, you thought that he's altogether become one as you, like you're just going to get away with it. All right. So going back to Joel, the 3rd chapter, it says, and they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot. See? And sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Okay. And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot. All right. And sold a girl for wine that they might drink. All right. And that's exactly what is described. All right. In this video. Okay. They gave a boy for an harlot. All right. They basically took, all right, our men, all right, and forced them into sex labor. All right. So that they can produce a bunch of more slaves, especially if they, as you can see, this dude is big as hell, chiseled. Right. So, Esau was like, well, I can produce more of those because he understands genetics. All right. And there's a lot of super niggas in the NBA, NFL. All right. Who they've ultimately bred into the earth, man. You best believe it. Okay. Some of the top names. Okay. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm into conspiracies, man. You know what I'm saying? But and see, we're in Babylon the Great. All right. So it should be nothing. All right. Too deep. All right. Because this devil, the scriptures talks about how the heart is deep. All right. But let's listen to this again.
I noticed a little domestic.
This man was forced to have sex with hundreds of women every day. And the worst part was that he could never say no. Known as Padasika, he was the slave bought specifically for the role of a breeder. Because he stood at 2 meters and 18 centimeters tall, they believed his children would be strong. He was highly intelligent and obedient. As a result, while the other slaves worked in the fields and performed heavy labor, Padasika had the role of engaging in relations with hundreds of different women every day. As Padasika's children were consistently born strong and healthy, he began to receive increasing privileges. He passed away in 1958, leaving behind over 200 children.
All right. So particular brothers in the camps can be a descendant of this guy somehow, some way. But here you go. All right. Joel 3:3, and have cast lots for my people, meaning they put us on auctioning blocks. Okay. We see that in all of the slavery movies. Right. We know that history. And have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. All right. And all you have to do, okay, is go into the history of alcohol under the context of the transatlantic slave trade. Also the sub-Saharan slave trade. All right. Which that took place between the Hamites and the Ishmaelites who sold us to the so-called white man, which this chapter is getting ready to go into. Okay, the history of slavery in France's wine capital. All right, which France is one of the heads of the beast system. Okay, one of the 7 heads. Okay, and all you have to do is just go into the history of it. Okay, it says, and this is just basic research. I have a document that goes into it very deep. How we were, traded off for tobacco, wine, musket guns, and various different things. All right. But here we go. All right. You can just go into it, man. You can just look it up on your own. All right. We were definitely sold for wine. Okay. Traded for alcohol. Okay. You can look it up. California's wine industry was built on slave labor. All right. Wines started with slavery. Barduk's, all right, or Bardu wine started with slavery. All right. Bitter grapes, slavery, labor in the memory. All right. So, and it brought up Joel. Okay. Let's see here. Let's just put alcohol. Right. Alcohol was used to benefit enslavers to aid them in captivity of Africans, which we know those were Israelites, okay, who were primarily traded, from the regions of West Africa, some north and some south, but those were Israelites, okay. And yes, our own people did aid the enemy. They're aiding the enemy into this day, okay. But slaves for brandy and rum, you know, rum fermented made by the black slaves was once again used by planters for purchasing more slaves from the dark continent. All right, and it's just a basic history that you can look up. All right, so it speaks to this very prophecy right here. All right, Joel 3:3. For they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Okay, let's get the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter. Okay, because you devils are going to pay for all of this. Okay, yeah, the Lord used you, to come against us, but there's another side to that. All right, this is the book of Revelation 11. All right. And 8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. This is speaking of America, the valley of dry bones, all right, where we fell, all right, and ultimately the Hebrew was beaten out of us. Okay, we had no understanding as to why. There was no open vision. Certain men, tried to read the scriptures and do particular things, but there was nobody really teaching that we were Israelites. All right, you had Nat Turner and a few slave rebellions. All right, but the understanding didn't come until after that 350-year period from 1619, all right, to the 50s and 60s. All right, and even early 1800s, you started to have particular understandings of us being Israelites. All right, but the full understanding came out around the time of Abba Bivens in the 60s, okay, which has led to what we know today, all right, as the Great Awakening, the Hebrew Israelites, all right, waking up in large numbers, all right, which is ultimately this prophecy we're going into. It says, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies. All right, the scriptures talks about how that he that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So this is not talking about a physical death. This is a spiritual death. All right, for 3 days and a half. All right, they would see us in this dead state. All right, no understanding. All right, and not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. All right, they taught us all manner of lies. Okay. They didn't cover our nakedness. They profited off of our ignorance. All right. It says, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry and shall send gifts one to another. All right. Because these two prophets tormented them. All right. That dwelt on the earth. And the two prophets is Judah and Ephraim. All right. The northern and southern kingdom. All right. When we, established the throne of David, the tabernacle of David, which is being rebuilt in these days. Okay, these heathen were tormented. Okay, Edom was put in captivity. The Hamites were put in captivity. Moabites were put in captivity. And David wrote psalms about it. He sung psalms about having his enemy as his footstool. Right? So the heathen remember, all right, and know who we are. All right, so to have us in this dead state and to finally get us to where they were ruling over us, it really, made them happy. Okay, they sent gifts one to another in the form of wine, tobacco, musket guns, gold, and various other things. We were traded off, all right, as the nations were happy to see us in this dead state. All right, the scriptures talks about how the heathen would clap their hands at us. All right. The book of Lamentations, the second chapter in the 15th verse, it says, all that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All right, so they rejoice to see you in a niggerish dead state. Okay? And the two prophets that tormented them goes back to Judah and Ephraim being together at the time of David. Okay? And for 40 years we had these devils, all right, and all of these people in subject. Okay? Under Solomon's rule, which ultimately came by David beating down the heathen. Okay? And the chief heathen whom he boasted in having down was the Edomites, the Moabites, all right, and the Philistines, or the Hamites. Okay? Which is our chief enemies in this time. Right? It says, so that would be the so-called white man, the so-called Chinese, and the so-called African. All right, which are all in cahoots to keep us exactly where we are, along with the other heathen nations. Okay? And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood up on their feet, and great fear fell on them which saw them. Okay? So, and as you keep reading, this leads to us being beamed up, being ascended into the chariots, and delivered out of the hand of our enemies. So great fear has fell on all of these heathen because we woke up out of that dead state. You see, they accused us and relegated us to a particular, image, all right, that is associated with their pseudoscience, all right, but we've come out, all right, as the remnant, all right, and raised up out of that dead state, all right, and now we're preaching and prophesying and coming back to who we are, okay? So let's read this again in the book of Joel 3:3, and they have cast lots for my people, all right, auctioning blocks, trading us off, separating families, okay, and have given a boy for an harlot, all right, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. And what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, all right, which is ultimately the Hamites and all the coast of Palestine. This is speaking to the Arabs, okay. Again, you have the Arabs and mixed with Elam, all right. But for the sub-Saharan slave trade, it was in particular the Hamites, all right, and the Arabs, okay, with the help of some of our own people, all right, who traded us to the so-called white man. Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head. There's nothing you can do to get out of the judgment that's coming. And this is why all of these nations, the elites of these nations, are gathering together to cut us off, all right, and try to establish their NWO and cut the cords, because they see the great awakening. All right. It says, because you have taken my silver and my gold and have carried into your temples my goodly and pleasant things. Okay. And the heathen have been doing that. Okay. They still have relics and particular, gold and things that are associated with us and our people. Okay. Hiding the truth of the matter, all right, from us, man. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. Okay. And who are the Grecians? Okay. The Edomites. Okay. Now the original Grecians, or the original inhabitants of that landmass, were the sons of Japhet. All right. But who took over that land? Okay. And who ultimately put hell on us? All right, even up to this day. All right, the Edomites. Okay, you can go to the book of Maccabees, all right, and read about what the Seleucid off branch Antiochus did. Okay, they sold us unto the Greeks, the so-called white man, that ye might remove them far from their border, and that happened during the sub-Saharan slave trade. All right. Then you had the transatlantic slave trade, all right, and we were brought, all right, from the regions of Africa, Europe, and certain other parts of the world over to the Americas. Okay. And removed far from our border. Okay. It started in 70 AD when we were kicked out of the land. All right. And we settled in different parts of Africa, primarily West Africa. All right. We also settled in parts of Europe. All right. To be prepared, ultimately for the final captivity, where the Lord would deliver us from, man. Okay. It says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. All right. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them. And we've been sold over here to the Americas. And as it says in the book of Hosea, the 1st chapter, in a place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall it be said, ye are the sons of the living power. So the Lord said he will raise us out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense on your own head. Okay? And that's getting ready to happen. This is what we're here to proclaim. That's why it says in the book, all right, of Revelation, the 13th chapter. Let's get that real quick. Revelation, the 13th chapter, as it talks about everything this devil would do. All right, Revelation 13:9 says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword, who was blessed with the sword? Esau, must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Okay, so the prophecy talks about how we're going to ultimately enslave these heathen. Okay, let's get the book of Isaiah, the 24th chapter, real quick. Give me 1 second. Let's get Isaiah 24. All right. So I just saw that particular short, and I was like, wow, that can be a quick lesson. It's not going to be too long. Isaiah 24, all right, and 21. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, all right, that Yahweh shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. All right, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit. All right, and shall be shut up in prison, and after many days they shall be visited. So this is what's coming for you devils, man. This is what's coming, all right? Psalms 149. So we're not just making this up as a bunch of disgruntled Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans who are just mad, all right, which we are mad, all right? But furthermore, this is what the scriptures say, okay? Isaiah 49:4, for the Lord taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, okay, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and the punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye Yahweh. And this is why they want to do away with the scriptures, because now the true understanding of it is out. All right. They've used the Bible enough, for their witchcraft. Now they don't want nothing to do with it. Okay. But let's read this in the NLT. To bind their kings with shackles and their leaders with iron chains. Okay. And it goes into various scriptures how they're going to be bound for the purpose of captivity. You see? So the Lord, all right, as he says here, Joel 3:7, behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense on your own head. And I will sell your sons and daughters into the hands of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to a people far off, for the Lord has spoken it. All right. And we're going to use other heathen to help assist us. All right. For you Edomites. You see? You Edomites are going to get it the worst of all of the heathen. See? So Isaiah 47 says this, okay? Isaiah 47:5, sit thou silent and get thee in the darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, which this is speaking of Babylon the Great, for thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and have given them into thine hand. Okay. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient thou hast very heavily laid thy yoke. See, even on the elderly of our people did you put hell on. Okay. You made the grandson lay with grandmother to see what kind of deformed baby will come out of it. You made a son lay with his mother. That's where you get the term mother effer. Okay, this is the sick, demonic, sex farms, okay, slave farms, where they would have slaves, all right, on display as animal. Okay, look that up. There's a documentary on it. Okay, slave farms. Yeah, you instead of the monkey. All right, you got Jake on display, all right, for these rich Edomite families, okay, to ultimately go and the stomach churning events on slave breeding farms. The truth about American slave breeding farms. Look this up on your own. I'm not gonna, go into it, but there you go. Yeah, they had slave farms. All right, where people, rich elites, would go to see, our people on display. All right, and they had other heathen too. Okay, those Japhites over in Australia, or them crazy looking niggas. They, which they're the seed of Japhet, but Esau. All right, as it is foretold in prophecy, he would overcome all nations. Okay, but the hardest aim was at you so-called Negroes, all right, the tribe of Judah primarily, all right, and all of the rest of the tribes, man. He went hard on you, all right, but Judah got it the worst because that's the head tribe, and you got to understand, all right, it was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, all right, who ultimately came directly against Yahushua, man, all right, but the northern kingdom got it bad as well, man. All right, the Lord sent, all right, Columbus and them over here on a boat to kick your ass. That's some judgment for your ass. Somebody get on a boat to come whoop your ass. Not only does he land there, he goes back, then comes back and whoops your ass some more. So, yeah, they had farms, all right, where ultimately, and it's on YouTube, so you can just look up slave breeding farms if you want to know the history. All right, but this scripture that we just read in the book of Joel goes into that history. Okay, so let's read this again. Isaiah 47:6. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance. I have given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou verily heavily laid thy yoke. All right. And thou said, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thine heart, neither did thou remember the latter end of it. And the latter end of it is judgment, and that's what we're here to proclaim. Okay? Ezekiel 25:12. Thus saith the Lord God, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and have greatly revenged himself upon him. And what did Esau say, all right, when his father Isaac was getting ready to die? All right, the days of my brother, the days of my father. Let's get Genesis 27 real quick. Genesis, the 27th chapter. All right. And 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Why? Because ultimately Jacob received the blessing. Okay? And this, all right, is the answer, all right, as to why they continuously put a foot in your ass. You keep marching for them to love you and respect you and to treat you equal and to give you a fair shake. All right, when all you need to do is return to your power and he's going to take care of them. You ain't going to defeat this man in his own system. Okay? The scriptures talks about your enemy, which is stronger than you. All right? He's stronger than us in a carnal sense, but spiritually, we're over this devil. Okay? Let's see here. Yep, and we're being made stronger than our enemies because we have a testimony that's going to overcome them. We overcame them by the blood of Yahweh Shai and by the words of our testimony. Psalms 105 and 24. All right, he increased his people greatly and made them stronger than their enemies. Okay? But there's a scripture I'm looking for in the book of Psalms. Okay? Psalms 142 and 6, attend unto my cry, for I am brought very low. We don't have any rulership. We don't have a military. Okay? So the Lord raised up a spiritual army. And the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. We're not going to defeat this devil by guns and all of the various things he used to take us down. We're going to defeat him in a spiritual sense through the second Adam. The second Adam is the only one that can take this serpent down. And that's Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Attend unto my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are stronger than I. Okay? So the Lord is going to take this devil down, and he's going to use us, all right, when he gives us that power. Okay? Ezekiel 25 and 13, therefore thus saith the Lord God, I will stretch out mine hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. And this is all cold talk for what's going to happen here to America. And I will lay my hand, all right, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall go and do in Edom according to mine anger, all right, and according to my fury shall they know my vengeance. Okay, so you see here Moab, Edom, and the Philistines are mentioned. All right, because these are the nations, okay, that David rejoiced in taking down. Let's get Psalms 108, I believe. In 9, Moab is my washpot. A washpot is a servant, one who, washes feet, hands. And Moab does that unto this day. They were created for that. Natural born servants. Okay, over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Okay, that means your enemy will be your footstool. All right, and over Philistia will I triumph. All right, and David is singing this psalm, all right, because he got victory. They became his servants. Okay, when you go into the history, all right, when David took down these heathen, all right, First Chronicles 18 and 13, and he put garrisons in Edom. Okay, and all the Edomites became David's servants. Thus the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. Why wasn't the Lord mad at him, vocab, or you Christians? The Edomites were David's servants. Okay, all the Moabites, all right, David tortured their asses. Okay, he had one line where he pretty much, let's see if we can find that. He had one line, all right, where he kept some alive, and he had he had like a let's see here. He had like some games where they would just destroy themselves. Okay, let's see here. Maybe it's in. I can't find it, man. But if you look it up. All right, somebody can put it on the comment board. All right, David, there was a point where he took the Moabites. All right, let's see here. And he put them through like a course of torture. Here we go. 2 Samuel 8 and 2, and he smote Moab and measured them with the line of casting them down to the ground. Even with 2 lines measured, he put to death and with one full line keep alive. So the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. Let's read this in the NLT. David triumphs. See, we just read about his triumph and his psalm, his song that he sung. See? And that same thing is going to happen when we take you devils down. All of you heathen. Because remember, Yahweh Shai is coming to take all of you heathen down. David also conquered the land of Moab. He made the people lie down on the ground in a row, and he measured them off in groups with the length of a rope. He measured off 2 groups to be executed for every one group he's to be spared. The Moabites who were spared became David's subjects, all right, and paid him tribute money. See that? He put them in captivity. So we're reading, okay, in Ezekiel, the same nations are addressed, okay, because all of these nations are banding together, especially the Moabites and the Edomites, the Chinese and the so-called white, to take us down. And the Hamites got their hands in there as well. Okay? All of these heathen ultimately are going to get it. But these are the top heathen that are going to be taken down when the Lord returns. Okay? Let's get the book of, what's that, Amos 1? Let's see here. The Lord addresses you, heathen, man. And these are prophecies. Let's see here. Amos 1 and 11. And thus saith the Lord, for 3 the transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Okay? There's another scripture that goes into how even when our punishment had an end, you kept going. Maybe Ezekiel, the 35th chapter. Okay? Which all of these are prophecies. Okay? This is after the throne of David was established and disbanded after Solomon's sin. So as the scriptures talks about the tabernacle of David being rebuilt in the latter days, this is the mindset associated with it. All right. And they're scared. See, because we have been raised out, of this particular place where we've been scattered and sold. All right. And we've received the Holy Spirit, man. OK, so let's read this again. Joel 3 and 7, behold, I will raise them out of the place where ye have sold them, and return your recompense on your own head, and I will sell your sons and daughters into the hands of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabines, to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And that's happening right now. All of these nations are boasting in their military might. Okay, check this out. Iran's new hypersonic missile Fatah can strike Israel, all right, in less than 400 seconds. And we forget that not only is Babylon, America, going to be destroyed, but, all right, that landmass over in where those Amalekites are, that's going to be destroyed according to Ezekiel, the 38 and 39th chapter. All right. So the Iran, okay, which is one of those nations that are now saying I am strong, linking with Russia. All right. And pretty much a top player that's going to be used to, in Armageddon. OK, creates a missile that can hit Israel in less than 400 seconds. Now, let's look up. How many minutes is 400 seconds? How many minutes is 400 seconds? 6.6 minutes and 66 seconds. See that? So the Lord is this didn't happen by coincidence. The Lord is ultimately, all right, a coincidence. Iran has this technology suddenly after provided drones to Russia, all right, because Iran and Russia are going to work together, okay. But all of these nations, all right, are awakening and preparing war, all right, because the Lord is ultimately getting ready to address those who touch the apple of his eye. Okay? This is Zechariah 2:8. For thus saith the Lord, after the glory, all right, the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you, for he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. Okay? And the apple of his eye, as the beloved brother Gabar brought out yesterday at camp, okay? Apple of my eye, meaning, okay, is a person whom one is extremely fond of and proud. All right. And in these latter days, the elect of the nation of Israel, all right, are making the Lord proud by walking in obedience. All right. Turning from our wicked ways. All right. Going out preaching and prophesying. All right. Unto the great and dreadful day of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So I just wanted to go into that. All right. How that's biblical, but there's another side to that story. Hopefully I'll edify on to the next. Shalom.